It's impossible for your wife to make you angry.
Check, yes.
Absolutely.
Then you feel like, no.
Yeah, you're
Yearning for my wife right now. I'm excited. All the things that you're talking about just makes me want to spend time with her. And
you're controlling me on
that's
it.
so
and we get
funny.
these huge arguments over a parking spot. Here's one of the greatest things that we can equip men with.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Patros Podcast, where we're learning to embrace healthy masculinity. My name is Allan Pereira. I'm one of the hosts, and this is my co-host, Jeff Ford.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. So I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
Why are we excited?
Because we have the OG of Man Up with us.
We have the guy, the man back for
This is the Genesis.
part 2, the genesis of everything that happens in this home.
Should you tell that story?
Tell the story.
Well, you know it better than I do, right?
No.
All right, so
you were there for it.
So with Man Up and Go, for those of you that don't know what we do, we engage in the fight for the fatherless, and through the Authentic Masculinity program, which is our international program that develops and disciples men to be the men God's called them to be. There was a couple that had been married for about 26 years. And after going through like man as worker, man as lover, one of the men went back home and told his wife, "I love you," for the first time in 26 years. So when he gets home, as they're telling the story, he says, and I'm editing the video, and that's why I know how to say it, but he says, I get home and I look at my wife and I tell her, "I love you, my woman." And that she looks back at him and says, "Where did you get this?"
Where did you get this?
Yeah, and then he goes and gets like the Man Up pamphlet and says, this is everything going on, or what is it? This book is the genesis of everything going on in this home. And so that was their testimony to attribute the change and the gospel change in their marriage and in their home life. That being said, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. That was actually a really good segue on marriage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's divine, because I did not plan that.
That's what's up.
That's Jesus.
So we are so excited because we do have a guest for part 2 of his time here. For those of you who don't know, we filmed the Patros Podcast in sunny Clearwater, Florida. And so to have guests in studio with us from out of state is obviously a privilege, but especially this particular guest. I'm going to introduce him as the OG, but he's also my friend. Mm-hmm. And he is on staff at a church in Keller, Texas, Fellowship of the Parks. Shout out.
Yep.
On the Fort Worth side. I used to live in Keller, Texas, which is
That is so
cray,
bizarre.
right?
Yes.
So weird that you ended up there, and has been the marriage and family pastor there for the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
2016.
And so we, if you didn't hear the first part of this 2-part series, I would definitely suggest you go back and listen to that, because you're going to get the genesis of everything on this show. No, you're going to get the genesis. Why am I saying genesis so much?
I know.
Like, you got it stuck in my head now.
Like, we got to read the book now.
Someone get out, and then the seventh day.
That's where marriage started. So.
Oh my goodness. So go back and look at last podcast though, because we really get to a special treat, a journey through how Man Up came to be. And Roger was the visionary for that. And so now we're transitioning, if we, last podcast, okay, you wouldn't watch it, now you're back. So now we're picking up in 2016, we'll call it. Man Up has, as an entity, we actually formed the organization in 2014, and then 15 is when we actually started work. So it was just kind of an idea in 14, and 15, that's when I came on as employee number 1. And shortly thereafter, Raj moved to Keller, Texas, and took on that role. And so that's kind of where we're going to pick up here, because what has happened is over these years is you become the marriage guy.
Yeah.
Now, you were kind of always the marriage guy.
Right, yeah.
In some regard, right?
Yeah. I've been in part of marriage ministry, part of marriage world for, let's see, now about 30 years.
Yeah.
29.
Yeah.
with
And
it.
so, what I love, and this is a really great leader tip too, I think, for you guys that are in business or in some kind of leadership role, or you're in a church or whatever the case may be. I love what you were telling us earlier, which is that at FOTP, you have three things you elevate. Like there's only gonna be a few things that are gonna get FaceTime and like men's ministry. Not everybody should have a men's ministry. No, everybody should have a women's ministry. But you have three things you elevate. So at Fellowship of the Park, what are those things you guys elevate?
So we're really wanting to do these three things and do them well.
Yeah.
With it is reach spiritually disconnected people. We want to reach and equip and resource homes to be healthy.
Yep.
That's marriage and family. That's me. And then we want to defend those in need, which is our orphan care ministry.
Yeah.
Which was great is my wife heads that up. So we get to be a tandem. We're passionate about all three. That's how we ended up at Fellowship of the Park Church. We're a multi-site church, so we have 5 campuses, and it's a lot of fun just to see the ministries run in those areas with it. But it's a great place to be. We call it the simple church. We're the everyman church. It's really is a fit with Patros. With it is what we're doing, and that's why I'm so excited to be here, and why I'm so passionate about what I do.
Yeah.
Because I get to do all three of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love
Wow.
it. So we're going to talk about marriage today. That's what's on the docket. We got the marriage expert in the house.
That's my
I'm
favorite
the
subject.
rookie.
Yes. You are. No, you're not the rookie. You're like,
I'm 3 years. That's still pretty.
yeah. But he's
That's
working,
lightweight.
he's
That's
still-
I'm 2 years. I'm going
You know
on
what though?
third.
He's still
Yeah.
working on his rookie contract.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm
He hasn't
working
been given an
the
extension.
10-day extension.
you got an extension. That's something.
There's no extension. We're gonna put the franchise tag
Working on the
you.
minimum.
Yes.
So we're gonna figure out some of those things. So, like I have so many places that I want to go with this, but I'm gonna try to reel it in
Yeah.
so that we can, talk about what really matters. So what I really want to accomplish today is, I think the viewers, we want to know, like, what is a successful marriage? If we could like say, because my guess is everybody kind of has a different, and that's probably okay. There's probably degrees of that, but there's got to be some things, man. You see somebody who's 80, 90 years old, and they're like, the only two people in the room are each other, and you're like, man, y'all are, get a room, right? Like, how do you keep that, right? That would, I think, be really interesting. I also think it would be interesting to know what are some of the pitfalls, because divorce is definitely
It's real.
a real thing. How do we deal
Yeah.
with that? And so Forbes did a study, and they kind of factored the biggest factors in getting married. So these are the reasons why people get married.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm going to throw out to the group is, this is the reasons people are getting married in the culture. Do any of these align biblically? Which ones? Or are there some where it's like, no, man, that's not, that's a practical reason, but that's not really a good biblical reason. So you're our expert.
Well, I can't wait to hear what these are.
Okay, so here we go. There's about 6, 7 of these. So the number one reason people get married is financial security. So that's 42% of participants said that was a reason for them. Number 2, companionship. Number 3, love. So I think those were
Those are
kind of
legit.
right. Number 4, the formal act of making a commitment. So 34% said a factor, a reason they got married was there was a formal act to a commitment.
That's a solid one.
It's a solid one, right?
Solid.
34% said to start a family. Leave and cleave. 28% said convenience.
What
Like
was
it's
that?
a 7-Eleven or something.
Bro, how is marriage convenient?
I don't know. That one was like,
That's disillusional.
I was trying to figure that one out. So if someone in the audience got married out of convenience, drop a note and tell us what
We need to
that
have a
means, because we
conversation.
don't
I think
we
they
don't
found
understand.
Found out when they woke up that it wasn't convenient anymore.
And actually, I'm sorry, I need to restate these percentages. It's actually those surveyed who divorced. So the reasons that they got married. Now, so these are of divorcees. So I apologize, because I should have made that note. There's 3 more. The next one, medical insurance. 1 out of 4 got married because they needed some benefits.
Bro, get another job.
They needed
that is not a solid reason.
Bennies, bro.
Yes.
I do know people like that, though.
I do too.
It's wild.
I do too. Next one, 16% did it for legal reasons.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Like,
what
do we mean by like trying to get citizenship? Maybe.
Well, citizenship, or maybe there's like a tax benefit, tax break. Like that's the only thing.
Would that be financials?
Yes, but I don't know.
But tax. Sometimes you got to have medical insurance. You got to be legally.
Yeah. So they're all. I mean, they're kind of. Yeah. And then the last one, 7% got married, or at least one of the reasons that they got married were societal and familial pressures. So even though marriage is declining, there is still a pressure in some circles.
Yeah, for sure.
To get married.
Parents, grandparents.
So I mean, of those,
or you see all your friends getting married, so you feel like
they had a kid.
Yeah, so Raj, what do you when you see those? Which one of those? Which one of these can we throw out as So and let's just put it this way: not everybody listening to this podcast is a believer in Jesus, and that's okay. We want them here. If we're looking at though biblical reasons to get married, when you look at that list, which of those make the cut?
Yeah, that's a great question. Especially probably not getting married is for medical insurance. That's probably not a good one.
Not a great reason.
Not a biblical one.
We can cross that one off the list.
Yes, definitely cross that one off. Legal reasons. But off of that, I think there's one is formal commitment.
That's a good one, right?
Why
is that a good one? Because I think a lot of the young folks, and I mean, Allan, you're the youngest one here.
Yeah, I'm not that young, but...
What I mean, I do think that they're like, I don't really see the purpose in marriage. I don't see like we love each other. We can stay. Yeah. I have a friend. They have been together 25 years now, married.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that to me, from my position, not just as a marriage pastor, but as in my field in working in marriage, is absolutely crazy with it. And when we start looking at commitment, is Dr. Scott Stanley. University of Denver, up in Virginia, University of Virginia, all kinds of research, sliding versus deciding. Is so many of our younger generation is we slide into relationships.
Shoot.
Back when you and I were in...
That's good.
That's a fact.
When you and I were in school, what did we do? We passed a note.
And there was a decision.
Yes.
Will you go out with me? Yes or no?
Did that note ever get to a wrong person?
Check yes
absolutely.
No. Then you'd be like, no.
Yeah, you're like, hold up. I don't want to go with you. Oh, crap.
So, I had a teacher.
You had to like stay with them at least till third period.
So I had a teacher that as the note was in transition to get to the person, it was from a guy was passing the girl's note to another guy. Ooh. And so the teacher thought it was the guy to guy. And he goes, we gotta have to talk after class. He goes, no, not for me. But you were saying.
But that was an act of, I want to go out with you. I want to be with you. I want to go on a date, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we go through these formal acts of, hey, we start dating. Then we start getting serious. We're only seeing each other. Then we start feeling that vibe. You're the only one for me. So then we propose. She says yes. I will marry you. Then we go to the altar. I do.
Yeah.
So we do
There's
all
these clear
these
steps.
Of commitment.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can I camp on that for a second? Because that's really fascinating. Bro, y'all's generation.
No. Yeah, we don't do that.
You don't do that. Y'all do slide in and out. What's wrong with you?
I've never had a relationship where, and this is like since I was a teenager, where there was like formal decision on like, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like it was always like, let's just see if it works out or not. And then if eventually like you date or you stop dating. I don't know why.
What does that say, Raj?
Yeah.
What is
it's
that?
just a slide right, slide left.
Yeah.
Relationship.
Well, for me, it started before that, but I get why that's become a thing.
Yeah, it's hookups.
Yeah.
Ooh, hookup culture.
And so when you start hooking up, the relationship is not built on something that's a relational transaction. What really is the secret to great relationship is having a great friendship. Is that's what makes a great marriage.
Yeah.
I never had anyone go, not really my good friend, but we're married and we're happy. Never hear that.
So can I ask you then, is companionship a good reason?
Companionship in the form of friendship.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good reason.
Decision is I want to spend the rest of my life. But then it comes back to commitment. I'm burning all the other ships to say I'm going to just be with you. So when you get sliding into relationships, is all of a sudden, hey, you're at my place, and now your stuff is at my place. Yeah. And so now we start doing life together.
There's never a formal commitment.
There.
Man, it's really fascinating.
Is how many people go, oh shoot, what did I get myself into? I really don't want to
stuck.
be
Like
with
her clothes are over here.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they start doing life.
Dog
and they
is
get into
here.
this habit. Hey, I'm going to end my apartment over here.
Yep.
So, but we're here. He gets promoted to another job, moves to a different.
And you just keep going.
But here's the thing: there's no formal commitment where any day,
you just leave.
you could come home and say, "I'm done."
That's crazy.
Yeah, any day.
On it. So imagine the nerves you have to be living with on that.
The anxiety, the anxiety. I mean, shoot.
Yeah.
You're not creating a safe environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't flourish in your relationship.
Yeah.
So which is interesting is Harvard. So I'm not really talking about biblical stuff.
Yeah.
I am, but also I'm talking about research, science, talking about marriage and that Harvard flourishing, human flourishing, famous research that came out, research galore over and over and over and over, is that couples thrive when they make an actual commitment towards each other. The formal commitment. That's why marriage is so important. And we start looking at how God ordained marriage. First thing he ordained, Adam and Eve brought them together, is the marriage. So now when we're looking at relationships to go, because commitment really says, hey, I choose you, I'm burning all other options. And commitment is really me saying, hey, I'm going to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to make this relationship work. Every marriage experiences hard times. But when you're cohabitating and you experience a hard time, why don't I just go to the next person?
I'm not married.
Yeah.
I don't have to do a lot to get out of this.
So
I can slide on out.
Yep.
On our way back from
He's
Miami.
got that look on his face.
I know, like that generation.
No.
Those guys.
Listen. So on my way back from Miami, so my wife, obviously, she's a biblical counselor, so we always talk, counselor type stuff, whatever. And I kind of glowed a little bit, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "I think I just came up with something. Is there a term for?" So this is my term for it: committal adjacent behavior, meaning that the way that you behave should be adjacent to the level of commitment you are in the relationship. And when you function outside of that, it's not healthy or safe for the relationship.
Yeah. It's really what you're saying is true for a relationship, because you mentioned the word safety.
Yeah.
Because when you feel safe in a relationship, that means I'm free from being condemned, judged, shamed, belittled. I'm going to be loved exactly for how I am. Yeah. Which I shared in our first podcast that we did together. That's what I felt with Carrie on it. As I never felt that before.
But you were safe within that marriage covenant
to do that because I knew that she wasn't going to leave me. Yeah. All of us have bad times in our lives. We lose our job, we may get fired, our kids go crazy, and they're just hard times. And when we make a commitment till death do us part, right? We're going to make sure that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure this relationship between you and I stays healthy. And then we have specific roles within that. So the wife and the husband role, understanding that. But there's a golden truth in Ecclesiastes that a lot of times we don't talk about. And it's Ecclesiastes, which was written by Solomon, King Solomon, the wisest man that ever walked the face of the earth.
The goat of wisdom other than Jesus. He's
full
right
of wisdom.
Way
and
under.
He made a remarkable discovery that really is the mission of my marriage ministry. That what we do at our church, Fellowship of the Parks, it's enjoy life with your wife. Because all of life is hard. Yeah. But the one thing He gives us is
the wife of our youth.
A wife of our youth. And so Solomon's saying, hey, no matter how rich you are, how much success you have, or how little you have, or what a failure you are, the one gift I give you is your wife.
Got my wife.
Enjoy it. So for me is I want everyone to have joy in their relationship, even when life is hard, marriage is hard. And that's where commitment is the fuel that allows us to have fun. So Carrie and I, humor is a huge part of having a great marriage. Because one of the things that would frustrate the crud out of me is she thinks I literally have the answer to everything. She thinks I know everything.
Like she thinks you know everything, or she thinks you think you know everything? Which one?
No, she thinks for some reason that
you have the answer to
that I know the answer.
And you're
like she'll ask me, why are they tearing up the road right here? And I'm like, remember, I'm a pastor. I'm not on city council. I don't know why they're tearing up the road. And she'd ask me over and over, and I would go like, oh, this is so, I don't know. But then I thought, you know what? Life is too short.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this moment. So what do I do now? I just make up stuff. I just make it up.
And does she buy it sometimes?
She buys. I said, you know what? The drainage on this road is bad. So they needed to tear it up, and so they're going to lay down this rock again, get the drainage out. That's why you see the pipes sitting right here. They're going to lay that down. Then she starts looking at me like, all right.
You're messing with me.
Yeah, you're messing with me. Yeah. I'll roll down my window, say, hey, John, get to work there. Just have fun with it.
He's like, my name's not John.
And she laughs at it, see how good I can make fun of it. But that's really one of the things about life is, especially with your generation. I've been really trying to understand your generation more.
Why is your generation all screwed up?
So when we talk about divorce, your generation really is the product of the most broken relational generation ever.
Yeah.
And so when we look at marriage with Jeff, what you're talking about is, why don't people want to get married on it? It's because they see nothing but heartache. They see conflict. They see fighting. They see hatred towards, anger towards each other, and living a life of his house, her house, separation, all this blended family stuff. Why do I want to do that?
Because really divorce didn't really escalate till after the 60s, right? It got really crazy after the 60s.
Yeah, so really Gen Xers.
Yeah.
And we're jacked up
y'all
from
just
our baby boomers.
Went layup after layup with the divorces. It was crazy.
It was, you know what? It's Ronald Reagan's fault. Sorry, conservatives. No fault divorce. He was the first California when he was governor.
And so is that why? That's why most of us come from. A lot of us come from. Is because of that.
Yeah.
That
it's
generation.
Because
you used to have to do something to have a divorce, right? You used to have to. I mean, adultery usually was kind of the most common thing. But if there was abuse, physical abuse, or something like that,
you had to have something
you had
tangible.
to prove something in the relationship to get a divorce.
Yeah, and then, even with that, you had to go to counseling. It was a huge
it was a process. Oh, okay.
To get through, but now it's just, hey, if you don't want,
we got to part ways.
Actually, let me tell you the biggest factors for getting a divorce.
You have them?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
That's a good.
I'm ready.
That's a good segue. So, biggest factors for getting a divorce, and again, these were surveyed divorcees. Divorcees?
Divorcees.
Right? I feel like it's cooler if you say divorcee.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a cool word.
Sounds more French.
It sounds French. Okay. Number one reason, 43% said a lack of family support was a reason for divorce. They just didn't have, right?
Like a support system?
A support system. That was the reason.
From their spouse?
Well, it just says lack of family support. So for me, it's interesting.
They didn't have a village.
There's a lot of nuance.
They didn't have a village.
That's how I took it. They didn't have a village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Number two would be extramarital affairs. Right. So that was 34% said that was the reason. And that one is, I think, everyone kind of understands that one.
Yeah.
31% said a lack of compatibility. So just hold your thought on that one.
That's wild.
I want to hear Roger's take on that one. 31% said a lack of intimacy. And that's also an interesting one, right? And because men and women generally are wired very differently.
Yeah. And we can talk about that.
So we'll get into that one. 31% said too much conflict or arguing. 24% said financial stress, which I had always heard that financial stress was number one.
No, it's trash.
But it's actually not it.
Yeah, it's just a
lack of commitment.
Symptom of lack of commitment, That's the next one. 23% a lack of commitment. They just said it. You know what? I'm not committed to this. I should have never done it in the first place.
We got buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse with that. 20% was parenting differences. 10% said they married too young, which is interesting because, like, when you talk to my wife, she will definitely say that. She'll be like, we married too young. And I'm like, no, we didn't. We worked it out. Mm-hmm. But we probably married too young. Just for us, though, not saying in general.
Yeah.
6% opposing values or morals. And then you have some substance abuse, domestic violence, et cetera.
Yeah.
So of those, I think the one that's really interesting to me, the two that maybe we camp on a bit, like reasons for, well, actually, let's camp on these three. I'd love to get your take on these. Number one, that idea of lack of a village.
Yeah.
So how does that play into staying married or not? Mm-hmm. Lack of compatibility, and then lack of intimacy. So intimacy. Let's take them one at a time. Lack of family support.
Yeah. So my response to that would be that's really saying I'm one of the people in the relationship feels like they're doing everything. All right. They're the ones that I'm keeping the ship afloat. I'm doing this and this and this and this. And they just get exhausted where they're not able to really experience a relationship because they're so busy with the task of a home. Yeah. So that could be the kids. It could be not just work, but cleaning the house, doing budgets, paying bills, whatever it may be. Is that's really what we want to see is it's not so much the lack of family support, but it's that the home isn't a priority for both.
Got it.
On it. And then at the end of the show, I really want to share 6 things that we can do to really help in a process where that is not a reason. It'll actually eliminate that reason.
All right. Lack of compatibility.
Yeah, that's a heart issue.
A hard?
Heart.
A heart. Okay.
Heart issue, because chemistry's got to happen in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
The person's got to be hot.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to wow, that person is hot.
So
you
you
got to get to know 'em.
You tell me we can't marry a. Well, how would you say it, Allan?
What?
I don't want to say it.
I always tell people, hey, you got to remember.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
You got to wake up in the morning and still got to go, wow, I'm so happy I married. Not,
Yeah.
what am I?
Yeah.
Is they got to be, so the chemistry's got to be there.
Gotta be
compatibility. But after you say I do, that goes out the door. Now it's about your character. Compatibility, you have your whole dating to find out if you're a right
So
fit.
compatibility only applies pre-marriage.
Yeah,
Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, in other words, I got all the dating time in the world to figure out if we're compatible or not. But once we get married, I can't use compatibility as an excuse. I can't say, oh, well, we're not compatible, because it's like, no, you had plenty of time
Yeah, exactly.
to figure that out.
But would you maybe also then say that if you can't work out I agree that compatibility before marriage matters, but let's say that someone is incompatible before marriage, not fully, right? Like, you still need compatibility, but if you can't necessarily work everything out and you're technically somewhat incompatible, like if you don't flex that muscle and understanding how to work out those differences before marriage, then wouldn't that also not be good for the process?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
So that would be like a red flag.
Yeah.
If you can't work out something.
That's what I'm
before
saying. Yeah,
I do. Then there's lots of kind of the science.
Yeah.
Is when we're attracted to someone, the chemistry part really is your brain goes into overload. All you see is this amazing love.
That's infatuation stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole front of your brain is loaded. And it kind of, love is blind, right?
Yeah.
It really is.
Your logic goes out the window.
Yeah. So you need really a good 20 to 24 months of dating.
Yep.
So when people may say I got married too young or too fast,
got married
that
in 1
could
week.
be true.
Yeah.
Because your brain wasn't allowing you to really see that person for who they really are.
Yeah, stuff that you would naturally say no thank you to all of a sudden becomes permissible.
Right.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm not saying this to label people.
No.
But take a narcissist.
Yeah.
Narcissists are amazing at love bombing. Love bombing means they're just so into you. They're over and over. They romance you. They dine you.
They're selling you.
They're selling you. They're just totally the Casanova. And so that person is just so overwhelmed. They're so in love with me. They say all the right things. They do all the right things. And then they get married.
I got you.
Too quick.
Yeah.
And then those are the things where it becomes really hard. So you always want to at least wait 20 to 24 months. Now,
I've heard 36 is like the end point of infatuation or something.
But about 20, 24 months,
that
starts going away.
Healthy, yeah.
On it. But if, like what you're just saying, AP, is...
Yeah, you call me,
Allan,
whatever you want.
Allan, is what we want to do is, if there's red flags there, so the incompatibility that's when you want to make sure you have an exit strategy. I love helping people have an exit strategy.
Yeah.
Marriage is way too important to settle. And we're going to talk about singleness, so we can do that well on it. But when we're trying to spend time, we don't want to get married just to get married and cross the box because I want to have a kid, I want to be a dad, whatever it may be.
It's not a goal just to,
So, Raj, these excuses that you hear, because that's what, I mean, you had said that earlier. I hear these excuses all the time. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's amazing when couples get into conflict, and then through conflict, they start developing some distance between each other. Yeah. They start withdrawing from each other, and so they start losing connection. And these are really the symptoms of disconnection. Yeah.
Well, okay, sorry to stop you there, but the signs that the marriage is at risk of divorce. So it's like you're a marriage expert or something, because our participants said that 48% said biggest sign is a lack of showing an interest in one another.
Yep.
Number 2, poor conflict resolution. Yep. Number 3, avoiding each other. And so it's like, those are the top 3 things that if you're looking for signs, and you just said that, like that's what you're seeing, right?
Yeah, so that's very accurate in the sense that conflict is going to happen. Yeah. It's inevitable. Guys, one of the things that you can really develop is a conflict resolution skill. It's a skill. See, the thing about compatibility is we get into conflict. Couples get into conflict, and everyone has their hot topics. You know, it could be the money, it could be the kids, it could be how you spend your time.
Faith,
squeezing the toothpaste from the middle instead of the bottom.
Is that the toilet roll?
Toilet rolls put on.
Some people
wrong.
are, some people get on that stuff.
I had a guy who said,
I could never.
My wife didn't buy me the right can of chili, so it's not for us.
No.
I was like, really?
What?
Well, tell me more about that. I'm a Hormel guy.
No.
And I was like,
what do we even?
I will go to Costco, and I will buy you a pallet of chili.
Hormel.
Yeah, of Hormel chili.
So what are we talking about?
It's not that big of a deal.
It's Hormel.
Yeah. But it's conflict is how do we do that well? Because it's a skill. So people think we must not be right for each other because then we wouldn't be arguing. Well, here's the biggest thing. Conflict is really the gateway to having a great marriage.
Ooh.
So instead of going, conflict, we're not made for each other, I didn't choose the right person, instead is we get to go, yes, this is just another opportunity for us to get to know each other better.
What happens when, and I'm not saying this is me personally, it may or may not be. What happens when one participant loves conflict and the other hates it and wants to avoid it?
Yeah. So one person may like to escalate it.
One person may like to escalate it.
Well, some people enjoy the banter. The mental exercise of like, let's work this out.
As my brother said, again, not saying it's me, but
but his brother also.
As my brother said.
Do y'all want to hear more of that conversation? Well, you can by becoming a Patros subscriber. You'll get exclusive member-only content. Just go to the link in the description or go to the Patros website.
Yeah, and when you become a subscriber, like what you're telling us is that you enjoy this content and you want to hear more of it. So every dollar that you give helps us do just that.
So thank you again for listening. as we just together go on this journey of embracing healthy masculinity.